Hello. Hello, Hello, Natasha. Hello, Lisa. Good to see you. Hello, Greg, Haley, Isabel, Catherine. Welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing today? Good to see your faces. So thank you so much for being here. This is our Q&A for your quantum year. I was just reading your question, Lisa. I didn't expect to see you. I literally just read it a second ago. Greg, yay, good to see your face. Good to see you. So happy. So, just as a start, thank you for being here with me live. It's always nice when some people show up. Otherwise, I'm just like riffing the whole time. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope you brought some really good questions so that we can dive into, just all the things that have come up through your quantum year. Hello, Lisa. Good to see you. And Warwick. Is Warwick there? Warwick's like hiding. Hello. I saw your pictures in the Facebook group. It's lovely to meet you, Warwick. I love Lisa. So I'm delighted to meet you. So welcome everybody. All right, let's just get this started. Obviously we covered quite a lot in your quantum year, and this is just an opportunity. If anything is not clear for you, you can ask about that. If there's anything that you're like feel still like blocked by, which you look forward to this year, we can ask about that. Just anything that's coming up. Also, obviously, really happy to answer any questions about any of my programs or any of the things going on in my world. That would be nice too. Actually, do you know what we'll do just before we actually start the questions? Let's just take a moment just to come into ourselves. So I'm going to light a candle actually, and I'm just going to draw us into sort of a mindful circle. And I'm doing this as much for me as for everybody here, because I'll be honest with you, I have been busy today. I've still got that full moon energy where I have been like, here it's 4 o'clock in Spain, and it's been kind of like a nonstop day. So it would be good for me just to settle myself before we start this. So if you don't mind, I'm going to light the candle. If you have a candle that you'd like to light, I invite you to do that as well. It's just a way just to just really set some space here so that we come to this mindfully and intentionally. So I am lighting my candle, and if you want to in this moment, just close your eyes for a moment. And it's really just a moment to come home to yourself in the present. So even if your day has been so busy up until this point, or if you're just getting started with your day, but you know there's a lot of things coming up later, right now there's nothing else you have to do. You get to be here now. And just focusing in on your breathing. And let's take a few really deep anchoring breaths together. So breathing in through your nose and then out through your mouth, just to come home to yourself. So breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. And in and out. And letting your breathing just settle back into its natural rhythm, softening your body, relaxing your body, noticing if there's anywhere where you're just holding tension, and see if you can let it soften even a little. And then just coming into awareness of being present in this circle and knowing that in this circle you're safe, that we are all here to support each other, trusting that you're here for a reason, and that whatever you need to hear today is going to come through. And then when you're ready, let's open our eyes and we will begin this session. There, that feels better for me. All right, so let's do this. If anyone has any questions, perhaps actually what I'll do, because I know there was a couple of questions in our group, because I asked people if they wanted to post them. So I'll go to these questions first. And while I'm doing that, if you have any question, please raise your virtual hand. Raise it. At the bottom of the screen, if you sort of toggle down, you'll see something. It says more. I guess you have to go to more now. Is it more? Oh my gosh, why did they change things? Host tools, React? Where's the button now for raising your hand? That's so strange. They've changed it. Why do they change things like this? Oh, somebody else coming in there.
I think it's in the React
Ah,
menu.
thank you. Well, oh, okay, it's in the React.
Yeah.
Ah, it is in React. Okay, wonderful. So you can raise your hand in the React. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming to my rescue there. I'm like, what the heck? Where did it go? And I'm just going to pull up these things from what people have written to me and let's see what we got. I think there was just two questions, one of whom was from Lisa, and Lisa is here with us live. So, Lisa, you can ask that in a second. I'll go to the other one first, and then we will crack on with your questions. All right, let's see. Da, da, da. Okay, here. So, this is a question from Kay Holmstrom Bradshaw. She said, one question I deal with is balancing perfectionism with getting it out there in my writing. Can you focus? Can you include that? It relates also to focus on one project or several. Since sometimes I feel like if I'm not doing it perfectly, I feel like I'm not doing it perfectly if I can't limit my inspiration and energy to one channel. Okay, so this is a great question and an important one, I think. And let's start with that first part, perfectionism versus getting it out there, which I think is something that we all deal with. Now, when I was a yoga teacher, I really noticed that the world does divide into two types of people. And there's one type who are like the strivers, and there's other type who are the slackers. And there's a type who are always trying to make it perfect and they're pushing too hard. And then there's a type who could push a little harder, let's be honest, right? And I'm definitely in that latter camp. I'm just going to be brutally honest. I'm like totally a slacker, but I do my best to be more of a striver. So I think the first thing here is to know your own tendency, right? It's knowing yourself, because there's no hard and fast rule about, whether you should be more perfectionist or whether you should just get it out there. It's knowing your own tendency. So I know my tendency to be a slacker and to try to get away with doing as little work as possible, right? I'm just being honest. I'm not a perfectionist. I wish I was. I just don't have it in me. But what that means is that I always have to push myself to be more of a perfectionist. That's what I need to do, right? I need to, like, when I'm writing a script, usually I'm like, guys, ready to go. And it's like, actually, it could probably do with a little bit more work. And so I get some honest feedback on that, and I push myself to be a little bit more perfectionist. Some people, though, I feel like it's the opposite. Like, you're over perfectionist and you need to actually just be like, you know what, it's ready for it to go out. It may not be perfect, but it's ready to go. So I think this is about self-knowledge and self-discernment and really getting to know yourself and knowing where you have to temper that, and knowing when you are being over perfectionist or when you are being a bit of a slacker, right? Now, having said all of that, and that is the first piece of it, like discernment and self knowledge, but the other piece of this is an energetic piece in which I really strongly believe there's a right moment energetically to get things out into the world. And it's kind of like when you're having a baby, for women here who have given birth, there comes a moment where it's like, this baby is ready to go, right? And trying to hold it in at that point is not a good idea, but trying to really push before that is not really good. I mean, there's a moment where it's like, it's the moment. And I feel like energetically, with us putting our work out into the world, there's something similar. And it's really good to attune yourself to that. There's a moment where you just feel excited to put it out into the world, where it feels scary, but you're also like, like, oh my gosh, like, yes. And don't overthink it at that point. Like, you could get into perfectionist mode and be like, but is it really? And I better check with a few more people. But I honestly believe that, when you feel the need to push, right? Like when you're like, okay, I think the baby's ready to come out, the baby's ready to come out. And sure, you might only be at 32 weeks in your pregnancy. By the way, quote unquote normal is 40 weeks plus or minus, or you might be after that, right? Like, so say that there's some idea with your script that it's going to be the perfect time to get your script out into the world is when you're 40 weeks pregnant, right? And maybe though you're going to like do it at 32 and it's going to be perfect. And maybe you're going to do it at 42 like I did with my firstborn son. Yes, I was pregnant for 2 weeks past my due date, right? I know. I was actually we went 18 days past the due date. But it was perfect. When it happened, it was perfect, right? So it's the same with you putting out your script. You've got to trust your own rhythm. You've got to trust your own instinct. And when you feel it's ready to go out, typically it's ready to go out. And your energy is going to be the biggest factor in having a successful delivery of your script. Because, if you're like overthinking it and getting into fear mode, like, oh, maybe it's not ready, maybe it's not ready, when you put it out with that energy, it's not going to be great. Or if you put it out and you're sort of like, I don't know if it's really ready, but I'm going to go for it, it's not going to be great. It's got to be your energy leading it, where you're just like, this is the moment. So that would be that. The other question about focusing on one project or several, um, you know, I have this thing, we're all different. That's it. We are all different. There's no rule in this world that says you're only allowed to focus on one thing, and there's no rule that says, you should focus on more than one. I'm definitely, when it comes to creativity, a serial monogamist. I cannot really juggle multiple love affairs, and I think of writing scripts or having creative projects as being like love affairs. I can't really have more than one on the go at the same time. I can have them if they're at very different stages, but nothing's wrong with it if it feels good to you. And I know there's a lot of people who are polyamorous when it comes to their creative projects, and they can juggle, five at the same time, and they actually enjoy it, and it makes them happy and it gives them more creativity. So again, it's about just knowing yourself. There's no right way to do this. There's no wrong way. It's what works for you. If working on 3 projects at a time makes you feel alive, makes you feel great, brings life to all the projects, then work on 3 projects at the same time. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're like me and that doesn't, it just doesn't work, then don't do it. Then just work on one. But you've got to just trust you. I think a huge part of this is that self-trust piece of best. Like, you actually know best. And you've got to just get to know yourself and give yourself license to do it your way. So that's that. Okay. Now, Lisa's question. Lisa's here live, so you could potentially unmute yourself. And Lisa, there you are.
I just have nearly no voice. So
Oh,
maybe if you
okay.
read,
Now I can hear you.
yeah. I have no voice today.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll read it out for you.
perfect. Thank
Okay.
you.
I'm so sorry. Get well soon.
I will. Thanks.
Okay. So Lisa wrote in the chat, when I feel resistance or fear or whatever you want to call it that holds me back from doing what I think I want to do, how can I distinguish between an unconscious resistance and an intuitive gut feeling that maybe it's not time yet or it's not meant for me? And is there a replay? Yes, there's a replay. You got that. So this is that question of like, how do I tell the difference between fear and intuition? And in a way, right? Like, how do I know if it's like fear that's holding me back, like an unhealthy kind of fear, unconscious kind of fear, or if it is actually an intuitive feeling that this is not the path for me? And this is a great question. It's a huge question too, right? And I think a lot of us, different times would be like, is this my intuition telling me not to do this, not to make this move, or is this fear? I think it's really about diving under the feeling, because fear and sort of like excitement or like intuitive kind of like stops, they seem similar, but they're actually underneath it, they're quite different. And the best that I can say is that fear for me, and each of us needs to explore it for ourselves, because maybe you experience it differently. But fear for me usually feels quite dense, and it usually feels quite heavy in a sense, and it feels also overwhelming. It can feel constrictive. It can also feel like it's sort of like pushing me down, right? Intuition, on the other hand, there's a clarity around it. There's a lighter feeling. Even if it's telling me not to do something, there's like a clear knowingness around it. And it's more like a feeling of being pulled forward, right? It's less of this constriction and more of this like pushing, or like pulling, Does that make sense? So this is like just tuning into it for yourself. Like, say for instance, you're thinking, should I put my script out? Like, should I reach out to the producer? And immediately there's like, it's like there's this fear kicks in. No, it's not ready. Another thing about fear is it's often very critical, right? It's often like critical. It will often bring up things from the past, right? Fear is often that sort of voice that's like, no, 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 you did that last time and it was a disaster, la, 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 right? That's not intuition, that's fear, right? But intuition might be like, because you think, oh, should I give it to this producer now? And you're like, No, I don't think it is time. And it feels there's still an openness and a pulling forward in a good way. It doesn't feel like this sort of like, ooh, this weight of something. So that's my own experience with it. That's how I distinguish between them. And it's not always, there's sometimes like it's a pretty fine line, but trust your judgment and just and feel it and trust it. Does that help?
Yeah, just feel it and then, yeah,
And
right.
notice the quality of the feeling, the sensation, as I say, because
Yeah,
fear, I mean, for me, one of the biggest things is fear is dense and heavy. And like intuition is light. Even when it's telling you not to do something, there's a lightness and a knowingness. Whereas
yeah,
actually fear is often kind of feels more of a confusion. Fear creates busyness. Fear creates overwhelm. Fear creates, anxiety and stress. Whereas intuition creates clarity.
yeah,
Intuition creates a sense of knowing. It's just like, no, I don't want to take this move right now. I don't want to do that right now. But it's not like, oh, it's not got that crushing quality to it.
yeah, okay. Yes, it both feels uncomfortable, so it's,
Yes.
yeah, but the other one, it sticks much more. Like when I do something and I didn't feel really ready for it, but it was just my unconsciousness or some fear, then maybe I cry or I'm a little bit hyped, but it goes away after at least one day or something. So yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one sticks much longer with me, and this is just
And this
sleepless
is
nights.
it's just paying attention, for each of us. Like notice what it feels like in your body when you do
Yeah.
feel like a fear about something. Notice when feel an intuition, to do something, what that feels like in your body. Pay attention to those cues and then it starts to get like ever more clear to be able to discern when you're in fear and when you're in faith. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. All right, my dears, who would like to go next? Anyone else got a question?
Chris.
I'm just gonna keep everybody muted unless you're actually speaking. All right, I'm pulling up the chat so I can see the chats. I was pregnant for 14 years with my last script. Oh, Catherine, that's hilarious. It takes the time it takes, my dear. I felt like I was pregnant forever with my firstborn. I mean, any of you who've been pregnant will understand 18 days past the due date was a trial. But I kept saying he knows his own birthday. It's gonna be fine. And he did. He came out fast when he came. All right, Greg, question. Please unmute yourself. Unmute. I can't do it. You're the only person that's allowed to unmute yourself. So we can't sneakily listen in on you. Did you get it? I think it's down on the bottom left if you're on like a, yeah, that's it.
Okay, sorry about that. So if we want to ask a question, how should we do that? Because there used to be a thing where you could raise your hand. I don't see.
I know. I thought there was, so this is in the reaction button. It says react. And if you click on that at the bottom bar, then you can raise your hand.
Okay.
But we got you. Hello, Martha.
So
I'm just seeing your face there.
I have a few questions. I don't have to ask them all at once, but I'll start with this one. So at the end, towards the end of day 2, you gave us a little assignment. You said, pick one of the tasks that you need to do and do it by tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I have a couple questions that go hand in hand with this. At first, I was thinking I wanted to do some writing on my screenplay. But it sounded to me like you were suggesting, we should be able to do a task that we can finish, we can complete by the next day. And there's no way I could complete my screenplay. I need days to do that, not hours. So I decided instead to make a decision, join the network, and I did that. That was the completion of a task. So to me, doing a task on my screenplay would have been something like I'm going to block out from 10 to 12 o'clock to work on my screenplay. Is that the kind of thing you would have thought?
That could totally be it.
Oh,
Yeah. You know,
all right.
like if you're like, okay, I'm gonna work on my screenplay for 2 hours, I'm gonna write 10 pages tomorrow, you know?
I just be sure what your take was on it. And then related to that, you have a class that is about writing a screenplay in relatively short period of time. I don't know whether it's 5 weeks or
8 weeks. It's
8 weeks. Okay. I'm the kind of person, I work on multiple projects and I take my time with all of them. I'm not somebody who feels I need to rush out of the gate and win the race. I take what time I need, and it's not about perfection. It's about feeling good about what I'm doing, both the process and the end result. The idea of writing a screenplay to me in 8 weeks is, I just can't relate to it at all.
To be fair, it's not really write a screenplay, it's write a first draft, to be honest.
Even so, I would spend a lot more than 8 weeks just developing the 2 main characters in a story. And so I'm curious to know from your perspective, how does that class work? I'm wondering, maybe it'd be a good thing for me to do as an exercise.
So the way it works is the first 2 weeks are the development weeks. So you have 2 weeks of reading a script, you know, identifying the genre of your own script, like feeling into the mood of it, creating a playlist. Playlists are like my big secret weapon when I'm writing a script, you know, getting a really great piece of music that motivates me. Also, you know, like fleshing out the character bios and then outlining. So that does all happen actually in the first 2 weeks. And to be honest, some people do take longer, and it's not a sin. You know, it kind of depends how much development you've done already. Like if you were just like, it was a brand new spark of an idea and you're just starting, that probably won't be enough time. And so a lot of people do hit the pause after the 2 weeks and just like take the time they need to before they start the writing. And then week 3, you start the writing. And when you start writing, what I encourage people, because I say the goal is actually just to get a first draft down. It's not to have a completed, perfected screenplay. And so what I encourage people to do is a pace of 4 pages a day, 5 days a week for the duration once you start actually writing. So that's 20 pages a week, right? This is a rhythm that I use. This is the system that I use to write first drafts. You know, there comes a moment where I'm just like, I just want to get that first draft down. And I think of getting the first draft down is like the equivalent of getting clay onto the wheel if you're a potter, so that you can start, you know, creating the pot. But it's not about creating the perfect pot right, you know, there and then. So for me, it's about getting that down, getting that first draft. So it's 4 pages a day, 5 days a week, 20 pages a week. If you stick with that rhythm, and each week, basically you get different things that help you to keep going until at the end of 8 weeks. If you've done the 20 pages, you know, from week 3, most people finish at week 7, right? Because it is like 5 weeks of 20 pages a week is 100 pages. That's a screenplay. Right. So that's, you know, that's what I encourage people, and that's how it works. And for tons of people, it really works. And then they have something when you're in the writing process. What I encourage, and this is my method, is always forward, never back. You're not editing as you write. You're not going back and reading what you wrote. It's like every page, just keep moving forward. Like you're just clocking the pages, right? And getting it done. So at the end of 8 weeks, you have that first draft, and that's when the work begins. You roll up your sleeve, but now you got something to work with, you know, you can see what you got.
And how much time do people tend to devote to this? Because I could easily write 4 pages in a day, but depending on the day, I might knock that out in a matter of an hour, and I might spend a whole day doing that.
Ditto. I'm the same as you. I mean, my thing is when I'm doing it, like for me, it's just like a non-negotiable. I've committed to doing 4 pages a day, so I'm doing 4 pages a day, right? And whether that takes me half an hour or whether it takes me half a day is really on my head. Now, I always say that, you know, the biggest part of writing to me is it's not, and I'm working on a script right now and I'm really experiencing it again, that like 90% of it is not actually sitting writing the pages. It's all the thinking that goes on in between. And so, my encouragement within that program is, from day one, and this is when sometimes I think it is better to have one project. This is why I like one project at a time, because it's like, my brain is working on it all the time, even when I'm sleeping, right? So that if I'm really dialed in on that way, typically I can sit down and I can knock it out in certainly less than an hour. And sometimes, like half an hour, really, like half an hour of real focus if I really have been thinking a lot about it. And so it's that, like, encouraging you to, think about your script all the time. When you're going to sleep, think about your script. When you wake up, when you're in the shower, when you're driving to work, when like play the playlist all the time. So your subconscious as well is working on it all the time. And then it's actually shorter amount of time to actually do the writing. And everybody's different. Some people don't do the 4 pages a day, 5 days a week. Some people just go, no, I'm just going to do it the weekend. I'm going to do 10 pages each day at the weekend. Like it's not, I'm not like, you have to do it like this, but it's just, here's a rhythm that definitely works for me. And it doesn't require you to be at your laptop all day. I mean, you shouldn't need to be there all day if you're doing 4 pages a day. It's the joy of screenwriting, I think, that you can, there's a lot of white space in my screen pages, right? So it's like, okay. So that's how it works. So it just depends on your thing. I mean, when I've written scripts using this kind of method, I mean, sometimes like I've had babies, I got up at 4:30 in the morning to write the script, because that was the only time that I would have like free and clear to myself, is that hour first thing in the morning, right? But I feel like, for instance, at that point when I was looking after my babies, they're now a bit much bigger, but when I was doing that, it's like I could be, I can be at the park pushing my kid on the swing. I can be, feeding them. I can be doing so many things and thinking about my script. And that's the work. That's really the work. And then you just sit down and bash it out. So it depends also what your work is, because if you've got a job where uses that part of your brain a lot, it's going to be harder. If though like other things in your day don't require that part of your brain, the creative part, that creative thinking part, if you can devote that, as I say, when you're driving, when you're walking, when you're doing it, when you're at the gym or swimming or whatever you do, that your mind is totally always working on it. And then it can flow quickly. But speed is not, by the way, like there's no sort of like gold medal for speed. The reason that I created that course, and it sounds like, I mean, I'm always like, if you're happy with your process and you're happy with the results you're getting, it's great. Do you know what I mean? Even if it takes you 3 fucking years to write a screenplay, if you love your process, don't change it. Right? If you're happy with, if it feels good to you and you're writing stuff that you're happy with, then that's it. That's the gold. I created the program because the first script that I wrote took me 3 years to write, and it wasn't fun. I didn't enjoy the process. I did not enjoy that process. And then after that, and it was really when I was working with McT, the director of Die Hard and Predator. So it was after writing my first script, I got hired by him to rewrite a script. And we rewrote together, and we rewrote from page 1. It was like a page 1 rewrite. And so I got up close and personal to see his method, because we were doing it according to his method. He had obviously at this point made, billions of dollars for studios. I was a complete noob, really. And, so I got to see his method, and it just really helped me train myself to how I wanted to approach things. And after that, I got hired to write scripts. And that's when I started to create this method for myself. And I was like, oh, this is it. Do the character work. If you do all the character work first, you do the outlining, so it's just like understanding that foundational work and getting it done. And then getting that first draft done, like fairly, like at a fair click of a pace. And then you've got something, there's some momentum, there's something to work with. And that's, for me, that's like, it works for me, but it's not to say it's for everybody or that it has to be that way. I know plenty of writers who do take a lot longer to write a first draft, and their first draft is much more edited. It's much cleaner and, probably better than my first draft, right? But my first draft, then I can get it out in 2 months, but then now I can rewrite it, and we all end up probably at the same place eventually. Do you know what I mean? So there's no, like, I definitely don't want it to be like, this is a superior method or it's, the best method or something. I would never make that claim. It's a method. It's a method, and it's a method that works for me and it works for lots of other people, but it's not, so if you're like happy with how you're doing it, then, you continue to do it. Have you finished things? Are you finishing things?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what matters. Do you know what I mean? That's it. Do you enjoy it?
Yep.
Yep. There we go. Yeah. So it's good. That would be my take, you know? It's
No,
like
but it might be good for me. It might be good for me to try that class at some point,
Mm.
that to have another, or to expand my capabilities in writing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, definitely some people who are like really experienced writers have done that course and they just go, oh, I just really enjoyed this way. Like it felt really fun and it felt really light because it's very sort of, I think it's, you know, the approach is like very just about the creativity. It's not about perfectionism. As I said, I'm a slacker.
Oh, I get.
So it comes from that. It comes from a spirit of like, let's play and have fun and not
Right.
be like stressing over making it the best thing. It's totally permission to write crap scenes. You know, it's like that. It's not, you know, like let's get it all perfect. Let's Get It All Perfect is in the network where we do, you know, screenplay mastery and revise your script and stuff like that. And that's where I just think it's a different part of your brain, you know? It's a different, yes, you know, when we get into critics' mind. So yeah, you may enjoy it. You may enjoy it. It's definitely, it's a solid course. It's solid. Any other questions, Greg?
Well, why don't I hold off and other people can ask some questions and I'll come back later.
All right. If you have one more, we can do one more right now. If you like, and then we'll move along.
So, as I said, I signed up for the network. So technically, this is a technical question. How do I get on the session? And
yeah, good question. Yeah. Okay, here's what should have happened. You should have received an email with that information. And I will double check. Like when you signed up, there should have been an email that, you know, gives you access to the portal and also gives you the Facebook group.
so I got a link to the Facebook page.
Okay.
I don't really use Facebook. I've never used it other than.
You don't actually need to for this. I mean, it's up to you. You can join the Facebook group. What's handy in the Facebook group is obviously it's got all the, we always have all the schedule listed, but that is also, we do send out reminders. I'm just trying to think if you get, I think the only way to see the full like upcoming schedule, I'm just thinking that's an interesting point. I should maybe get Ira. So Ira is my assistant who sort of sends out all the reminders and everything. Ira, I should get her to make sure that in the email with the reminder for that week's, because you'll get the reminder, there's a meeting on, you know, if you don't want to go into the Facebook group basically, if you go in there, it's got the schedule of all our meetings for the next 3 months. If you don't want to go in there though, what I will do is I'm going to ask Ira to add the link for the calendar into the welcome, into the email when you, you know, when she sends a reminder. I don't think she does that at the moment. I think she just sends you that week, you know, a reminder. She gives you like 24, 40 hours notice. But it would be great if she would just give the link so you can add it to your calendar if you don't want to go in the Facebook group.
That'd be good.
Yeah. And other than that, you do have the portal, which is where all the courses are. So there should be a different, you know, an email should have arrived with a sort of like a login to the portal. And when you go into the portal, which is the Kajabi, where all my courses are hosted, you will find that you have access to a ton of courses. And you'll be like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. This is insane.
So is it Diane Bell directory or?
Yeah, no, that's like, so if you go to dianebell.com, it will have the a login button up on the menu and you can log in that way, but you should have received an email. Look for an email with the name Kajabi, Kajabi in it. So look for an email that's from Kajabi and that should have your information on how to log into your portal. It'll have like, because I'm not sure exactly how it works technically, you know, but you click on that and then you'll get in. And then you'll see all the courses and you'll be like, what the?
I don't think I saw that one. And
Okay.
when you're watching the class, when you're watching, like I have a computer and then I watch videos. Like if I'm going to watch YouTube, I watch it on my TV. And if I need to, I'll put a video up on my iPad and I forget what it's called, AirPlay or something. That
Oh yeah.
TV, right? So would I be able to do that with your videos?
I think so. So Kajabi also have an app. So, you know, if you get the Kajabi app onto your iPad, for instance, then you can have all the courses on the app, you know, so you don't even have to go online. And that is really handy. And so you can watch them all there. And I think you can AirPlay from that. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if you can or not. But certainly you can get them.
Because I'm going to really need to do that to watch these.
Yeah. And my thing is always just, you know, heads up about like anyone in the network, or if you're in the Millionaire Creatrix Collective, which is a different thing that's got a ton of courses too, is do not be overwhelmed by the number of courses, and do not also think your job is to work through them all. The
Right.
courses are there purely as a library. It's like a library that's there, a reference library. So that, you know, whatever you're doing and you're like, I'd really like help with this, or I'm really trying to figure out that, you know, you can come to one of the meetings and be like, damn, you know, I'm trying to figure this out right now. Is there any course or any program that would help me with that? And I can be like, yeah, check this out, you know? Or you can look in it yourself and be like, okay, I want to sell my script. Oh, there's the Sell Your Script Challenge. Fantastic, right? I'm going to do that, you know? Most of the courses are named pretty clearly for what they are, you know, like Sell Your Script Challenge, right? So it's just like, where am I on my journey and what would actually help me, as opposed to, let me try and watch all of these, because there's a lot of stuff and you'd exhaust yourself. And that's not the point. We're not here to be consumers. We're here to be creators, you know? So
Right.
yes. So do not get overwhelmed by it. All right. Did that help?
Yeah, I mean, I have to go see if I got that email.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
And if
forth.
you didn't, just send a message to support@dianebell.com. And Saskia, my assistant in Australia, will get back to you ASAP, 10 days later. She's a little slow. She's a little slow at times, guys. Let's be honest. Saskia, are you watching that? Saskia's great, but she's sometimes a little slow. But I do love her because she does know everything about what goes on. So, you know, she does get back to you, but sometimes she's a little slow. So if it's really slow, you can always ping me a message. And the best way always to ping me a message like directly is really on Instagram. Like that's your best bet for me, actually. Like DM me on Instagram. I will see that. Sometimes not immediately if it, that's usually the best though. All right. So hopefully that helps. I'm going to go along now, and then Greg, if you've got more questions, we will come back to you. But I know there's some other questions popping in. Lisa. Okay, let me see. I use a flight of essential oils. Oh, I love that, Kimberly. Of essential oils to anchor each character's essence. Ooh, I think I might get try that with my script I'm writing. I try not to get stuck when I write the first draft. Yeah, exactly. And that's it. My head is always like, I'm just writing the bad version now. When I clean it up, I'll write the good version. Okay. Okay, so Lisa, let's get your question. And if you want to unmute yourself, please do. I would like to give, okay, so it's a technical question. Yeah, do you know what? There is a way for me to, I've not done it, but I need to. I know the Kajabi recently created a thing where you can make things into gifts. So what I need to do, I'll do it for Anchor and Alchemize. That's really a great idea. I haven't tried it out yet. Do you know, I need to, in the back end, like click some switches, and then it would be able to, you'd be able to do that. And just as an aside for everybody, I'm sharing, so Anchor and Alchemize is something that I created last year. And I created, actually, for me, it came as a response to the floods that we were experiencing in my region here in Spain, where we had, after 4 years of drought, just rain like I've never seen before in my life. I mean, it felt biblical. It was just like it just wouldn't stop. And you were just like, please let the rain stop, because everything was flooding, you know? And obviously, you know, over 200 people were killed in the floods here. And it was devastating. And it was just really, for me, just really unsettling, you know, just to witness this, to be close to this, and have that sense, you know, like all those climate change events, we see them on the news, it's far off countries, it's someone else and all this kind of stuff. And suddenly it's like there, it's in your place. Obviously right now, this is what's happening in Los Angeles in a massive way. And my heart is just broken about it, because, you know, I lived in Santa Monica for 12 years. And when I first arrived in LA, one of my yoga students from Barcelona, I didn't know anyone in LA when I got there. And one of my yoga students from Barcelona connected me with this lady who lived in Malibu, and she very kindly said, come and live with me. And so my first home was there in Malibu with her. And over the 12 years that I lived there, I often stayed out there. I mean, I would stay there for 3 or 4 months. Her husband's a director, and sometimes they would be in Europe shooting or something for 6 months. And, I'd stay in that house for months and months. And, that whole area of LA was like my area between Santa Monica and Malibu, and seeing it destroyed, it's unfathomable, and I'm not even there. Like, I'm on the other side of the world, and I've just been totally shaken by it. And I mean, it's unthinkable. It's unthinkable. It's like what's happened is just, yeah, you expect fires in certain areas, but this is like a whole other thing. And I'm just, if you're here and you're from Los Angeles, my heart is with you completely. And my friend who I just mentioned, her home is gone. Um, so many friends have lost their homes. They've lost everything. And, on one hand, it's like, oh, well, they're okay. Yeah, they are okay. But their whole life has just gone up in smoke. And it's not just their home. It's not just like, oh, you've just lost your home and now you move somewhere, close by while you rebuild it. Like, your whole neighborhood's gone. It's like, it's a war zone. It's gone. There's nothing. I don't know what people are going to do. And the shock in that, and the total trauma of it, where it's not, as I say, it's not just your house. It's like everything. It's everything. It's your schools. It's your workplace. It's absolutely everything gone. Everything that you loved gone. Your all your normality. So I'm really feeling it. I've been really feeling it deeply, as I say, even though I'm in the other side of the world. I'm on the other side of the world right now, but it's somewhere I'm devastated that I'll never get to see those places again. These places that are very dear in my memory, that they're all gone. I'm devastated for just everybody there. And I know the trauma that people are feeling in Los Angeles, whether they're directly impacted or not, is immense. It's just immense. It can't not be, to just lose whole parts of your city like that. It just, it's unthinkable. And so anyway, so I felt like this was a good time to share Anchor and Alchemize. And what I did was, if you are in Los Angeles, it's free for you right now, and just use the code LA Love. And I just, just obviously anyone that who's in LA, Anchor and Alchemize is 11 days, and it's a process. The first phase of it is anchoring. And it's really that, when things go crazy and you just feel like the rug has been pulled out from under your feet, the first thing you've got to do is just steady yourself. And it's like, sort of, it's really like, I had this image all the time of, you're out in a storm at sea. It's like, right now you need to anchor into something really solid and hold on to the mast, right? And the storm might still be raging around you, but if you can steady yourself and calm yourself, it's going to be really important and really helpful. So the first phase of that program is the anchoring. People who have done it, a lot of them after so it's the first 5 days, at the end of the 5 days of that, before you go into the alchemy part of it, which is transmuting, which is shifting from pain into healing. A lot of people, and I say in the course, like, if you're not ready to move into alchemy, stay in anchoring, like stay as long as you need in anchoring phase, and just go through those 5 days over and over until you feel steady, because it's just, it's big. And so I offer this, as I say, and if you know anyone in LA who is struggling right now or who's overwhelmed or traumatized, please share it. It's, as I say, I'm offering it to them for free. And for anyone who does purchase it, and I dropped the price down to $22, so it's totally accessible to really mostly anybody, if you're feeling like that would be helpful for you anyway. And what I'm going to do is every dollar that comes in from that will be donated to people who are in need. Who have lost everything in this time. I'm also donating 10% of all my profits this month to people. Obviously, I'm not lost to the fact that there is immense suffering around the world, and there's so many places, and the people of Gaza have been suffering this loss of their own lives for everything in their lives for the last year, and it much worse, because obviously it's not just their home and their house and their neighborhood and their world, but it's also their actual lives and the lives of the loved ones. And it's not lost to me. But obviously, this one in Los Angeles, it's just very personal. It's just affecting a lot of people that mean the world to me, and it's a lot. So I'll say Anchor and Alchemize. I will get the gift thing onto it as well. So if you wanted to gift it to somebody,
That would be
and as I
great.
said,
Yeah, that'd be
and as I
great.
say, if you do know anyone who lives in LA or anyone that's just feeling it right now, Because what we all need to do, and I'm just always this, you know, when we are so unsettled by things that we can't control, and obviously we don't control big fires, we don't control who's in the White House, we don't control like so many different things, right? We don't control climate change. You know, what we do need to do is like make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so that we're not getting sick out of stress, so that we're not, you know, sabotaging our own lives out of anxiety, all that kind of thing, that we come home to our power and we anchor ourselves in it. And it's through that that we can still continue to thrive. You know, we can raise each other up, help each other, support each other, and maybe turn it all around. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. I'm seeing Megan said I lived in, yeah, I know. It's just unthinkable. I'm just, I don't know what to say. I just can't believe it. I can't process it. I look at the maps and I'm like, I just can't process the devastation. It's unthinkable. Okay. Let's see. Catherine said Anne Lamott says you have to be willing to write shitty first drafts. Listen to Anne Lamott. She knows what she's talking about. Okay, Haley. My problem is getting stuck on how to end a story. Sometimes I've written a few scenes that don't fit, and then I have to edit those out in the later drafts. Yeah, it's not a problem. That's just the process. Haley, where are you? Where are you? Oh, you don't have your camera on right now. Yeah, so that I would say that that's
I'm
not
here.
actually a problem. You know, sometimes we think things are problems, but it's just a normal part of the process. I would say endings of my films are sometimes they come to me really clearly and I know that's the ending. And sometimes it's like a lot of work and you write many different versions of it before you hit on it. And sometimes you're still doing that in the freaking editing room of the movie. So it's, you know, it's just part of the process. It's not a problem. Does that help you? Is Haley there? Let's see. Yes, very much. Okay, good. You know, this is, I think, the funny thing on our journeys, right? Where we're like, this is a problem and it's like normal. Like, say, for instance, you know, when you have a toddler and you're potty training them and they're peeing their pants all the time, it's not actually a problem. It's normal. They're going to pee their pants when they're learning how to like use the potty instead of having a diaper on, right? It's not a problem. It's normal. You know, if though you're, you know, 35 and you're peeing your pants all the time, you know, it's a bit of a problem, right? So just to say that, you know, it's normal when we're writing our scripts that like I have a problem. I love that you've got a problem with endings. I've got a problem with beginnings. Like I just struggle with beginnings. I think beginnings are the hardest part of a screenplay, personally. But you know, we all have a thing, but it's all part of the process and it's all normal. It's just normal. It's normal. And you just keep working it. And you know, my thing is don't get too in your head about it. For me, like with an ending, for instance, if I don't know what the ending is, it's just like write the bad version. I'll go like, okay, brainstorm 10 different ideas, like 10 different ways that it could end. Like what could happen here? Here's 5 different ideas for it. Now pick the best one. And even if you're like, but that's shit and it's not it and it's not right, don't worry about it. It's the best you've got right now. Go with it. And, you know, trust that as you keep working on it, better ideas will keep coming, you know, and the right one will reveal itself, hopefully. Hopefully. I mean, as I say, even things that films I've made, I don't know if we got the ending right. Think it's such a good method to break down the huge respect doing something brand new. Missy, is Missy here? Missy, can you just explain this a little bit more? It says, think it's such a good method to break down the huge respect doing something brand new like writing a script. Do you mean like breaking down the sort of like is that like fear or something? Like where you're like, I'm doing something new and I'm putting it on a pedestal? Is that what you mean? Oh, Martha's got to go. Martha, I'm so sorry we didn't hear from you. All right, let me see. Yes. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really important that, you know, when we do something new, and it is daunting, obviously, whenever we do something new, it's daunting because it's like, will I be able to do this or not? My approach is like, just trust in myself. If other people have done it, then it can be done. That's one thing. If no one's done it, maybe I can be the first. If it's something that we really want to do, it's like learning how to walk. I'm willing to fall over as many times as it takes before I walk, you know? And when we take that sort of attitude that it's like, okay, I could be daunted by doing something brand new. It's like, who am I to do this? This is such a big thing. But it's like, you know, at one point in your life, learning to walk was a big thing, but you just, you know, you fell on your butt as many times as it took until you could do it. Right. And you know, you're just like, I'm going to do it. And it's the same with doing something big, quote unquote, and new, like writing a script. It's just deciding that, you know, I am going to do this. And who am I to do this? Well, who am I not to, right? If I want to do it and I'm willing to fail. Like, I think one of the most important things when we're doing something like writing a script for the first time is just not putting ourselves under pressure to get it right and perfect from the start. Like if you're a toddler and you're like, you know, I've got to learn to walk. You're not even a toddler. You're a baby and you're like, I've got to learn to walk. And if I don't walk on my first attempt, I'm never going to do it again. You know, that would be stupid, right? That'd be ridiculous. You know, we know that in order to learn how to walk, we just have to like get up. It's so cute, right? Get up, fall on our butts, get up, fall on our butts. And then slowly through all that getting up and falling on our butts, we're building the strength to actually walk. And, you know, what if we just took that attitude to doing that big, new, scary thing? Right? Not like I've got to do it right the first time, but like I'm just like gonna like fall on my butt as many times as I need to until I can do it. Because if you take that attitude, you will do it. You know, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. So maybe that's a good idea. And as I say, just think of all the people who've done it before. And if they can do it, I can do it. Okay, I'm gonna have a look at these other. Yeah, Lisa, I know. I don't know if you guys, if anyone here has seen my film Obsoletia, but it's a little creepy about some of the predictions in that film and what's going on. I mean, you know, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's about the impending climate disaster from the perspective of somebody in 2010. And it feels like it's more and more, you know, it's more on point, sadly, you know. But if you've never seen it, let me know. I'll share the link. You know, when I made that film, so it's about things becoming obsolete and it's about somebody who's really grappling with the idea of impending climate disaster. And it was from the perspective of, like, I wrote it in 2008, 2009, around then. I wrote it, I guess, in 2008, and then we made it in 2009. That's correct. So it's from that perspective. And at that time, I was just like, oh my God, we're in trouble. And it was my way of processing my fears about what was coming down the pipeline. But, you know, a lot of people have said about that film that it really is like medicine for climate anxiety. And I think, you know, I think there is something of that in it. It's not, I don't think it's sentimental, in fact, but, you know, it's definitely, it can help if you feel anxiety about the climate breakdown. I think it can help. All right. Lisa, can you talk a bit about ego versus heart dreams? Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah. Slippery little ego, right? Versus heart dreams. This is a good one. Because, you know, I have a thing that, you know, and I think this was in your quantum year, that when everything's truly aligned, it's like you go in the fast track, right? When it's your true heart's desire and your subconscious, you've done the work of clearing it out so that it's, you know, in alignment with that true heart's desire and your beliefs are in alignment with it and everything's in alignment with it. That's when it just goes, pew, right? Like things just skyrocket because it was meant for you, because it was your true heart's desire. And, you know, something that I think sometimes if I'm really trying to make something happen and it's not happening, right? And, you know, like I'm like, there's certain goal and I'm like trying to make it happen. And I'm like, why is this not manifesting? What is going on? Sometimes I do have to really dig into, is it what I really want? Is it really meant for me? Right? Because I think the universe protects you, right? Like, I think it protects you and it's constantly trying to guide you to what you're really here for. And you're here for your dharma. You're here for your unique soul coding. And it's very easy to get like almost shiny object syndrome as we go through life, you know, of seeing other paths or other things and think, oh, maybe I want that. Maybe I'd like to do that. Maybe I'd like that result. Maybe I should do that. But because we, you know, can want it doesn't mean it's really meant for us. And I think, you know, sometimes the only way to know that is to like, you know, is that you pursue it for a while and discover, you know, in this sort of like, why is this not working? One day you sit down and reflect and you think, maybe it's not what I really want. Maybe it's not what I'm really here for. Maybe it's not really who I am, you know? Because I mean, my experience has been when everything is in alignment, it's like a skyrocket. And you can't, like, you couldn't actually hold it back. And that's like, I mean, this is deep, it's deep stuff, right? And I don't like, how do we know if it's ego versus heart's desire? There's a part of me, and this is where this question gets interesting for me, because like my immediate sort of response to that is about, you know, again, what we talked about with Lisa with the fear versus intuition. It's about like the feeling in your body, you know, where it's coming from. And, you know, heart's desire for me is something that there's just, again, that certainty and that knowingness and some sort of like also like ding, ding, ding in your body about it. Like your body sort of, there's a feeling of like lifting and opening when you think about that. But, you know, what's interesting is that I think sometimes there's little tricks, right? That sometimes, you know, you think it's like that's what you want, but it's not what you want. It's like a symptom of what you want, you know, or it's like it's a, do you see what I'm saying? It's like, you know, it's the thing that you're like fixated on. It's not actually the thing. It's not, you know, and it's almost like Russian dolls, I think, sometimes with our desires, you know, those like dolls inside dolls, right? It's like, what do you really want? You know, like you've gone for this exterior package, but like what's inside it, you know, because actually that the exterior package wrapping of it was not what you really wanted. Does that make sense? So part of me is like, this is a journey. Like, this is our journey, guys. You know, this is the fun of it. Like, this is our journey, that we get to be on this journey of like saying, this is what I really desire, and then going after it with all our hearts. And then, you know, like assessing what's going on, what's working, what's not, what's feeling good, you know, like getting curious if it's not working, because, you know, if you really want something and it's really not working, and you feel like you're really aligned with it, you know, and you feel like you've done all the inner work and it's still like, why is it not working? You know, it's always worth asking, is it what I really want? And does it really serve me to my highest best if I did receive it this way? Right? Because I think the universe is always redirecting us to what is best for us. And that's not always what we want, quote unquote, want. Right? It's not always what we want, but it is what's best for us. And that's that thing of those I know, those redirections. I mean, I always think of the time in my life when, you know, I thought that what I wanted beyond anything was to be a screenwriter, you know, and I had that for many years, you know, and I devoted so many years of my life to that. And, you know, things were going well. I was making money at it and all this kind of stuff, but I wasn't happy. Wasn't happy with the jobs that I was doing. Wasn't happy. You know, I was like taking jobs writing screenplays for money, which was fine, but it wasn't fulfilling me creatively, which sounds weird, but there we go. And I remember hitting it, like getting to a point thinking I was actually happier teaching yoga in Barcelona and just writing in my free time, right, than I am right now getting paid to write, which I thought was the big dream. I thought that was the holy grail. Well, wouldn't you know, not long after having this kind of epiphany, but not really being sure about what I should do about it, you know, I was in LA and I was like, what am I going to do? Right. Because, you know, I feel like I've sort of like constructed myself into this life now. And then wouldn't you know, just after that, in the space of 1 week, 3 projects that I'd written that had been sold, that were set up, that were happening, 3 in 1 week fell apart for reasons totally outside of my control. You know, like with the one script that I sold, the main actor decided to do a different movie. And it wasn't just the main actor. We had to have him. It was, you know, it was like, yeah, so it was dead. The other one, like, I mean, John McTiernan got arrested by the FBI, you know, got arrested for lying to the FBI. Like, I mean, you could not make this shit up in the space of a week. So in the space of a week, I went from sort of like, you know, the week before, I'm like, 3 movies are going to get made that I've written. It's going to be huge. I've been paid for them all already, by the way. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's already good, but it's going to get even better. But I'm also really in myself not happy with the path that I'm on, right? Do you know what I mean? It wasn't what I wanted. It's really fascinating. And then everything implodes and suddenly you're redirected. So it's just, this is life, right? Like, I think also we don't always know what we want. Like, we think we know what we want and then we get it and discover it's not what we want. This is, anyone here relate to this? Do you all know what I'm talking about? Right? This is the journey. This is our journey. Oh, yes, ego versus heart. But I think your real heart dreams, like what you're really here for, is what you're really here for. And that's like something that you can't avoid, you can't make up, and you can't fake. It's again swimming upstream. Trying to make a ego thing come true is like swimming upstream. Okay, Gareth. And then I'm going to go into the chat and see the chat. And if anybody else that wants to like raise their hand to ask questions, put your hand up. Gareth, good to see you.
Okay, I feel like I can jump in here now. You've expanded beyond screenwriting. To be honest, I'm not a screenwriter, but I think I might be sort of
You're a musician.
heading.
You're an artist.
Yeah, I think I might be heading in that direction. But I did write a script the past hour while I've been listening to you. So I've got my script now in front of me. I know exactly what I want to say, bullet points and all. And if you could just humor me. Yeah, I mean, I've done some work with Diane the past couple of years. I found it very, very, very useful, very effective. And I've been away from it for a while, but I think I'm sort of missing the Diane's crazy wisdom, magic, courage, freedom from status quo, and the daring to live sort of thing. So it's nice to sort of dip into your world again, even though it's specifically screenwriting. A few things. I've made my Barcelona move. You moved to Barcelona and you said it was where you wanted to be. I moved to Plymouth last year, about 8 months ago, from Birmingham to. I was finding Birmingham incredibly difficult. I've always felt never really felt at home there, and it reached a bit of a crisis. And I came down to Plymouth to stop my sis just to see how it felt, and it just felt really different. It was like plonking my feet in different soil, and things started to feel. I just felt. This is right. This is so right. I've got to honor this. So I thought, right, I'm going to give myself a year and be in Plymouth a year and see what life looks like. And it's just gone from good to good to good. And I've recently, just New Year's Eve, I moved into a lovely flat, fantastic flat. And I've even got my sea view as well. I'm overlooking Plymouth Sound from my flat. It's absolutely brilliant. So
happy for you. I'm so happy for you. That's great.
So how much of this is to do with the work I've been doing the past couple of years with you, Dan? I don't know. I have a sense that it certainly played a part, because I think one of the things your work with you sort of flagged up. First of all, it was like, the first thing you do is you say, what would you like life to look like? And I thought, I've never been told I can think that before. I've never been set. It's all right to think of the life that you want. It's like I've just plugged into the normal channels, and then on top of that, the idea of, acquiring tools where you can start working towards that step by step. It's like it's become a very, very, very important part of my life. So I thank you for that. You said about anchoring. Is it okay to go on about this non-screenwriting stuff? Is this okay?
Yeah, absolutely. We're here for it all.
I won't be too long. Anchoring. I mean, one of the things that was really important when I came to Plymouth, very quickly, I got involved with a circle group that just met once a week, and we just sit in a circle. Very much on the North American Indian model of you pick up a symbol off the table and speak. They put it back down, but it's very, very simple. But for some reason, I just felt this is one of my tribes, and very quickly, I started to experience this. The only thing, almost like a shared silence amongst a shared stillness, And once I started keying into that, it was absolutely fabulous. It was a bit like sort of when you talk about going a bit deeper. It was like sort of just being grounded in this is who you actually are. This is who you are. I literally felt it healing me internally. Sometimes she'd say, "What's people getting from the sessions there?" I said, "I don't want to talk. I just want to sit in this silence. That's all I want to do is sit in this silence." And it was absolutely brilliant. So when you said about anchoring, that was a very important experience of anchoring for me. And I was like, it only took something very simple as just coming together with some friends once a week and just chatting about what was going on. Nothing more profound than that. But it was very, very, very important. I did actually do the first session of these three that you did, Diane, and I found just a little bit of that quite yeah, very, very effective. You were saying about you go and you open this door and you meet somebody in in next year and then 5 years time and 10 years time, whatever, And I came out with three words that are going to be my words for the year. I think the first one was, the guy said to me, "This is your life. It's your life. Just live it, own it." And the word that I came up from that was activate. Is the sense of, rather than being passive, I need to activate myself, just activate myself to meet life, to meet life and to take it on. The second one was, there was something you said, looking back on all the wonderful things that have happened. And the second word, I think I made it up, it's called wonderate. I need to wonderate. It's like there's a lot of wonder in the world. There's a lot of wonder around. And very often I don't acknowledge that. I don't even look at it. I don't even let it in. So there's a lot of wonder around as well. Just let that in. And the third one was elevate. I think you mentioned something a bit like not being reactive, of being creative. It's almost like rising above things. Rather than reacting to things on their level, you can sort of rise a little bit above it and you can sort of start to create rather than just sort of banging between things, reacting to it. So for this year, it's going to be activate, wonderate, and elevate.
I love it. I love wonderate. I love it.
And finally, in terms of the screenwriting stuff, I mean, my only sort of, I think, reason that I can justify being here is I'm not a screenwriter, but I enjoy writing, say, essays, or I write an article or something, And for me, when you were saying about getting the draft done, it's almost like when I've got the draft of it done, it's like then the fun starts. It's almost like getting the draft done. It's almost like the hard building work. Then once I've got that in place, it's almost like with that foundation in place, it's almost like things start to happen then. It's not a conscious process. Things start to come out, things start to appear. And for me, that's when the enjoyment comes in, because it's like it's not it's almost like it's, as you were saying, it's not a sort of me thinking determinate process. It's almost like I put myself into something which starts to have a life of its own, and it's delightful. When fleshing out, it's like all these things start to come to mind. Oh, I remember a conversation with someone. I remember I read this in a book. I remember I saw that. I start to flesh it out, and that's when it comes alive. It's almost like, and it's not just me. It's like it takes on a life of its own. So that's my justification for being in this session, in terms of screenwriting.
You have no need for justification. Everybody is welcome, and I don't think that we have a lot of screenwriters and filmmakers here, but not everybody, perhaps. So you're always welcome, Gareth. It's lovely to see you. I'm so happy you moved to Plymouth and you've got a sea view. I'm just like over the moon for you. Honestly, that's lovely. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I'm loving it there. I'm loving it. It's great.
It's so good. So good. All right. I'm going to look in the chat. If anybody else is here though and has a question, I think Isabel has posted a question. I've written a script for a short film that I'm planning to direct. Yay! I'm Estonian, studied film in the UK for a while. Amazing. But the film is set in Spain. I don't have any contacts in Spain. Any tips for me? I've just sent a bunch of emails to production companies. Amazing. I don't have like a big network of film people. I know a couple people here. Where do you hope to?
Hi.
Hi. Good to see you.
Sorry, yes, you were, I cut you off mid-sentence with my hi.
That's okay. I was going to say, where do you hope to do the film in Spain? Like set in Spain, which part of Spain?
It's in Galicia, the northern part. So I know the climate is a bit tricky there, but it's just very important for the story. It's this specific beach. And the whole story, it's this very meditative piece that kind of ties into all of the things that you've been talking about as well. So I'm really, really happy about that. But it has to be that beach. It's got these massive arches and it's just spectacular. I don't know any other place like this. Amazing. But I don't really have any big contacts there. But I feel like last last year. I wrote it this autumn, and I feel like I'm on, like what you've been saying, I'm on a bit of a treasure hunt. There's so many clues everywhere, and I hear somebody mentions a person, and then I'm like, okay, I'm actually going to ask them if they can put me in touch with that person, and then they sent me to a Spanish director. But it's kind of like tricky at the same time because I really want to do it this year. So yeah, I don't know if you have any
So, I
recommendations
mean, 'cause
for
one of
me.
the things I was gonna say, I mean, obviously, so are you living in the UK right now then, or?
No, I'm in Estonia.
You're in Estonia, okay. Because I was gonna say, I mean, one thing is obviously that it depends, like even shooting it in Spain, it doesn't necessarily need to be a quote unquote Spanish production, right? You
Yeah,
know, like depending on how you envisage doing it and how many actors you have and stuff. You know, it is possible that you really plan it all out from Estonia, raise the
yeah,
finance there, and just like go with the smallest number of crew and cast to like shoot it and then go back, you know?
yeah,
Um, so that is one version, just to say, you know. Um, I mean, beyond that, yeah, it's just gonna be like constantly going, has anyone got any anyone got any contacts and trying to meet people, and then possibly, you know, just going there. You know, I don't know
yeah,
if there's any opportunity, any possibility of doing that, right? Like, you know, just going and just going, right, I'm just gonna somehow figure it out and
yeah.
meet
I've
people and make it
been
happen.
Yes, that's kind of I've been thinking of going there for just like a bit of a like location initial
Yeah.
scout, I guess, because I haven't even been to that place yet. But
Okay.
it's
Wow.
just like I have done so much research on it, and I know it's just when I saw it, it just felt so right, and it just goes
Right.
so
Yeah.
well with the story. And the location kind of becomes the third character in the story, so it needs to be that place. But I'm thinking of well, my plan was originally to go in February maybe to see the location, but I'm hoping that maybe I will find some kind of contacts with like a Spanish production company. So if I go there, I would already have a chance to kind of meet with people
Yeah.
and not just go there back and forth, but go and already have some people to talk
I
to and
know.
discuss
Yeah, I
it
would
with.
totally
So
research that region, obviously, and anyone and anything that's happening in that region. Um, and then just and then I would just go and you know, like any meetings that you can set up beforehand, do it. But otherwise, you know, hit the ground and hit it with like an open, you know, like open intention. I'm gonna meet the right people, somehow things are
yeah,
gonna fall into place. And you'll have like at the worst, you'll have an amazing time and you'll see the location, you'll get more clear about how you want to shoot it and all that stuff. And at best, you'll find the people who are gonna make the film with you.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I would go for it. I'm obviously not in that part of Spain at all. I'm in Catalonia, which is the other side of Spain, really.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking there was this guy, uh, Robert Margello, who's like in my world. He lives in New York, but he just shot in Spain. I'm thinking he might have shot in Galicia.
Okay. I would
Yeah,
be so grateful if you
I
do have any
know. And
contacts or
he said
anything.
he's coming here again because I think I'm going to get to meet him because he's coming here to this part of Spain sometime this year. But yeah, so I don't know. I can't say for sure it was in Galicia, but I know he did shoot. He was shooting a feature that was like partly in Spain.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think in some way it would be a lot easier if I had a fully Spanish production crew. Well, it doesn't have to be fully Spanish, but some people at least, because with the location and everything, I don't know their specific kind of like laws and rules around that. So it would be really good if
I
even
mean,
if I've been emailing production companies in Barcelona and Madrid as well, because for them it wouldn't be too far to go there, but they would kind of know their specific details a bit
I
better,
mean,
I
it
think.
depends like how big a production you're imagining and how guerrilla you want to do it, you know?
Yeah,
You know, so yeah, it depends on those things, right? You know, if you're wanting to do something that's like really you're going to raise a pretty sizable amount of money even for short and make something like on that level, it's a whole different game than if
yeah,
you're like I'm just going to pull together a crew and I'm going to make like, you know, make it happen.
yeah,
You know, it's different approaches. And it's just finding what's right for you. But I would definitely go. Like as soon as you can, I would totally do
yeah.
that. I wouldn't worry about
Okay.
getting too much lined up. I just sort of feel like, you know, if you can get to the place and then just go and like, you know, just go talk to people go find the art house cinema and, you know, go find the cinema club and just talk to people. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and through that, you hopefully find those collaborators that you're looking for.
Okay, thank you. I've
you're
actually
welcome.
sent you an email as well with a bit more information. So if you do
Amazing.
have any kind of contacts or anything, you can just email me back on
Perfect.
that
Did you
address.
send
Thank
it? Where
you.
did you send it to? Did you send it
To your personal email
Okay.
address, I
All
think.
right.
The
I'll
one you
look
gave
for it.
us a couple of days ago.
Okay. I'm gonna look. I don't think I've seen it, but I'll have a look.
Thank you. I really, really appreciate it.
No
You've been a
worries.
massive help. So I'm so
Oh, thank
happy I
you.
found you on Instagram.
Yay. Love it. I love
Thank
it.
you.
And I'm so excited for you to make your film in Spain. So cool.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to meet you. All right. Let me see. Catherine said, in college, I had a playwright who got angry at me writing a slapstick comedy scene, which we read in class. And he said, this woman can write such meaningful blah, blah, blah. And she's wasting her time on this shit. I replied, so you're telling me that I'm writing a story you don't care to read. And what I'm telling you is I'm writing the story I want to write. He backed up and told the class I was right. Oh my gosh. Yes. Other people's opinions. Every rejection is redirection. Yes, I believe that. Every rejection is God's protection. I believe that too. That's important with your main character. They should be active as opposed to reactive. Yes. Thanks, Gareth. Greg, I have a question. Greg, I have a question. Spain has a film festival. Spain has a lot of film festivals. Spain has a lot of different film festivals. Obviously, there's one here. I live in Sitges, Isabel, but and it's a big film festival here. That's in fall, so it's not ideal for you. But there's Valladolid is a really big film festival. I don't know if you've heard of that, Valladolid, which is near Madrid. I think that's one of the oldest film festivals in Spain. Obviously, in Barcelona, there's always things going on, and in Madrid, there's always things going on. Yeah. Okay. So, Greg, question. Dun, dun.
Okay. So I took a little break from the session to see if I could get on the
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm getting is it's taking me over to, hold on a second. Like this screen. And then if I click on that, it's
oh yeah, no, that's not it. That's my website. So there should be like a sign-in page, maybe up like at the top of login, and you should have received information. If you somehow are not seeing the email with the information on how to log in, I can send you a new one immediately after this call.
Okay, if you would do that.
Yeah, no worries. I'm gonna just make a note.
And then when I look at opened up one of these videos on another page, it didn't have the thing that you can project onto your like AirPlay
right. AirPlay. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it does or not. You know, I'm not sure how that stuff works. I'm not on AirPlay. I don't use it personally.
So like the director's masterclass, is that you explaining things, or is it actually, you know, like when you have working with actors, is it you explaining it, or are you actually working with actors?
No, it's me behind the desk. It's just me
yeah.
behind my desk. Like,
so
yes,
can I play it? Can I play it like a podcast? You know,
totally,
when driving my car, that
totally,
kind of.
You can listen to it. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. New password. So yeah, I'll send you an email and it will give you a new password, and it will have the login link, and you just click on that, and you know, you'll have to create a new password or whatever. And
okay. That'd be great.
It should be clear.
I really enjoyed the meditation visualizations we did the last few days. Do you have any of those on your website?
Yeah. Well, there's quite a few in the network, like in different courses. So,
okay.
For instance, I think the Savvy Screenwriter has a good one I think it's got a good couple ones for screenwriters. You know, somebody said that recently. You just sort of like, I should make it, because I have hundreds of meditations at this point on my hard drive, you know, and I should actually just maybe make a little thing in the network, you know, of like some different helpful meditations. You've given me a little inspiration here that you can just access, but they are like, there's a lot embedded in different courses, and they will be sort of separate in the course. You know what I mean? It'll have the meditation as a thing, so you can download it or listen to it when you want to do it, because they are really powerful tools. You know, I think is both in terms of the path of being a screenwriter or any, you know, whatever in life, right? You know, in terms of creating success and removing blocks and visualizing yourself into things, but also actually in your creative work. You know, I
Mhm.
find that, you know, meditating on your, and visualizing things from your script. And there's a couple of like that I think it's the Savvy Screenwriter. There's probably a few in a few different places. I think I'm going to create a little meditation library in the network with different things. I think there's something like that in the Millionaire Creators Collective, my other thing. All right. So is that, yeah. So I'll get you sorted afterwards, Greg. I'll make sure that you've
Thank
got
you.
your thing. Okay. Megan, it's gone. Thank you for being here. Lisa, I know you'll cover how to have lifetime access. Yes. Okay, yeah, and the quantum leap and the last reel. All the things. So definitely what we will put up a link very soon. I don't know about you guys. My beginning of the year has been like pure chaos. My end of last year was really just like, it was something. I got really sick and I don't know, just everything. I feel like I'm not still fully in the saddle, but weirdly I feel very fine about it. I'm just trusting. I'm in my deep trust that everything is working out and it's all fine. So we will be putting a link in so that if you want continued access, you can get that, and it will be a very reasonable price, and so you can get that forever. The quantum leap and the last reel, we should make those available too. And well, especially the last reel. The quantum leap is already available somewhere. So quantum leap was a class that I taught last year, which was just on quantum leaps. And it is a really good, powerful tool. But I'm going to have a look at all three of those. And so basically you'll get emails over the next couple of days, you know, as we wrap up this group. And, you know, you can ask me anything, but you'll get emails with information about signing up for those and getting continued access if you desire to do that. So that will be coming. Does anybody have any last questions? This is your opportunity. Otherwise, we're going to be wrapping this up shortly. So if you'd like to ask a question. Anyone? Hello, Haley. Can see you now a little bit in the dark there.
Can I just ask there? Yeah.
Of course, Gareth.
I'm right in thinking you're moving more towards stuff working with women. I see a lot of your stuff has come up and doing the female thing. And are you planning on sort of leaving us guys behind, or
I know.
just hope
I
you
know.
fall by
It's
the
really,
way?
it's a fascinating question, you know, like obviously a lot of the things that I do are for women. And I think it's partly because there's things that I speak on that are particular to the female experience.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then I feel weird, like, you know, because if there are men in the group, like this is for everybody, this session, you know, if there's men in the group and suddenly we're talking about womb wisdom and everything, and we're talking about our wombs and all that kind of stuff, it just feels like I feel sort of like, like, oh, this isn't really applicable to half the people here. Now I feel like I have to either censor myself or correct myself, or I don't know, explain it more, you know, whereas if I'm with women and it's for women and it's, you know, it's just a different conversation. So all to say, like, the female things, you know, they're particular, and they do feel important to me. And I feel like there's a, you know, I do feel that, I mean, so much of the work that I'm just so like personally engaged in and personally like anchored in and living deeply at the moment is about the sacred feminine. And
Yeah.
I do think that's an important thing for men as well. Like that it's not just for women. Like the sacred feminine is not just a women's thing, right? And actually the thing that really needs to happen in our world for our world to heal is for men to embrace it as well. You know, to embrace the sacred feminine within themselves as well as honor it in women. And, you know, for me, this is something that's like absolutely essential in the healing of the world. And as my work evolves, Gareth, it's definitely a question for me about how, you know, how to include men who desire to be part of that conversation to be part of it. You know, like that is definitely something that I will be considering as I go on this path. But, you know, I just, you know, like a lot of the things that I create, in fact, almost everything that I create, it really is not I mean, it really flows from my heart and from my soul. And it's kind of whatever I'm obsessed with myself in that moment. And I have a thing that I say, like, what comes through you is for you. You know, it's like often what I'm teaching is what I need. So this year, one of the programs that I'm doing is the goddess year, which is for women, really, because, you know, it's about journeying through the year with 8 different archetypal goddesses. And you know, there's a part of me that's like, yeah, could a man be part of that? I mean, you know, if a man desired to be, yeah, I mean, probably, possibly. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it shifts the energy of the group, though. You know, and it's a fascinating thing. And I'm doing this. The reason that I'm doing this isn't because it's the smartest thing for me to teach, and it's the way that I'll make the most money, or there's tons of people dying to do it. The reason that I'm doing it is because it's what I feel really called to do at this moment, and it's what I really want to live in, and I want to that I want to immerse myself and anchor into in my life. Like I want to anchor into the goddess this year. That's my word for the year is goddess, right? And not in some like highfalutin goddess way, but like really like Mother Earth, sacred feminine energy. Like that's where I want to be. And so just like I just do these things. I do them for me half the time.
Yeah, that's the sort of sense I got, was that you were being sort of drawn or pulled more towards the working with women. And I just say there's Richard Tarnas wrote a book called I think the Passion of the West or something, about evolution of Western thinking, the Western mind, the Western being. And he said he felt that, you know, it evolved very much along patriarchal lines, to some extent out of necessity. But he actually said then, you know, if he thought if humankind was going to evolve, it really needed to embrace the feminine now. You know, so yes. I'm not saying anything, but I do think there's a lot of truth in that. I just have a sense that, like you said, you're being almost like drawn into a pull towards that. That's where you're naturally sort of going towards. It wasn't meant as a criticism, or it was just wonder what you had to say on that. That's all.
There may be an evolutionary point in the journey where I get clear about how it encompasses, because I know that actually bringing men into the conversation is crucial for us.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, to be honest, what kind of drives me insane in our world today, you know, is I just feel like all the women are over here, like, you know, doing the work and shifting the things. And I'm so delighted and honored by the men who are here. And obviously, you know, it's great that you're here and that you're open to these conversations. But, you know, we have a big problem in our world still with a lot of toxic masculinity, and it's not all men, but it's far too many of them. I mean, this last year for women, it was brutal. It was just brutal to be a woman living in our world right now. You know, like you open your newspaper and that case in France, I'm still like reeling about that. I don't know if anyone, you know, the Giselle Pellico case, where I'm like, you know, it's fine. We go, not all men, just all men though. I mean, like, really? Like, really? Like, not one of these men thought I'm going to go to the police. This is not right. Not freaking one of them. No, not one of them. You know, and it's highly disturbing. There were firefighters and police and this and that. And, you know, it's like, and as a woman, you're like, what's going on? And we women are doing the work, and we do need men to do the work. We do need like more men to, you know, to embrace the feminine and to honor the feminine and in themselves and in the world. And, you know, as a woman, I mean, I say last year was like, felt really like it was like that sort of thing. It's sometimes a woman, you feel like we're moving forward, and then it feels like one step forward and 10 steps back. And last year felt like a 10-step back kind of year, you know, also obviously with someone who's been accused of sexual assault by multiple women and found guilty of rape going to the White House next week, you know, and we're like, really? You know, like, I mean, literally dozens of women have said that this man sexually assaulted them, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't freaking matter. You know, so anyway, just to say that I think like as a woman, like I'm still, you know, and maybe I'm still like in need in myself in a sense for places, you know, for spaces that are, you know, sometimes female, you know, because there is in the energy of a group that is, where we're talking specifically about certain kinds of things, there's a certain safety for women being together, and there's a certain power, you know, and it can shift, you know, like sometimes at this point I would say it's just important for women actually to sometimes anchor into those spaces, you know, where we can have those other kinds of conversations and not, you know. And I appreciate you so much. And I say all the men that come to my things, because it's a particular kind of man that's like, that comes into my world, you know, and I'm honored by it and I love it, you know, like I don't, I don't attract generally into my world the kind of guys that you know that need these conversations. But maybe that's the problem. But thank you. And but I'm still always doing things for everybody too. You know, there's always going to be things. I think, you know, I think it's important for me at this point to do some things that are like female, you know, for women, and it feels like really part of my journey. It feels like part of my healing, you know, and my dharma to do things like that. But it also, I'm really here for conversations with men, and I always want the men in the world to feel welcome, and
Yeah.
you know, it's not exclusive, you know, that you are honored and you're appreciated. Yeah. And there will always be things. And obviously like the network, you know, obviously my screenwriting, filmmaking things are always completely open. And then there's just these things that are more female. And yeah, and that feels good. Yeah. Just seeing, yeah. I know. It's interesting. It's an interesting thing. But we definitely need we need you. We need the allies. We need the men who are like you know, just here for these conversations, because that's what's going to change the world. We can't do it on our own. Women cannot do it. We've been trying. It's not working. Oh my gosh. All right. Okay. Yes, Greg.
Quick thing. I just want to personally thank you for taking so much of your time the last several days. I got an awful lot out of this. It came at a pivotal time in my life. It's been enormously helpful, and you've helped a lot of people. So I just want to thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's my honor and my pleasure, because I think you can tell, you know, like it's part of my dharma. It's part of like my, you know, like I said at the beginning of these your quantum year, you know, when I do one like for free, it feels right in its service, you know, and I want this kind of information to be available to everybody. Like that's my thing, right? Because we are all in this together. Like, and I just honestly believe the more of us who, you know, can shed the conditioning, live our best lives, like really live to our highest potential, the better our world is. Like it's not, you know, it's really something. And I say this often: together we rise. It's my mantra, it's my motto. It is together. So thank you. I appreciate you, Greg. And I appreciate just everyone coming and being part of it and bringing the energy, because that's what makes it into something. So thank you so much. All right. Natasha. Natasha. Hello, love.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great. I was here for the like first 20 minutes, then I had to go get my kid from daycare. So sorry,
How is she?
she's great. She's really cute. Now she's sleeping.
How old is she now? 6 months or?
6 months on Thursday.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
Can she sit up yet? Does she sit?
yeah, pretty much. She's really
Sweet.
cool. She smiles and laughs a lot. So yeah, she's the best.
So nice.
Yeah, and
Nice.
yeah, it's really cool. I don't have really a question. I'm just like some thoughts, and thank you for taking the time. I really loved the quantum year. All the 3 days were great. So thank you for that. And so now we have, things in our pockets to, you know, try to do the quantum leap this year.
You'll
And
try.
yeah, we will do the quantum leap this year. And yeah, so I'm keeping that very preciously, because it's to me it's always difficult. Like some days I'm pumped, and some other days I feel down, like I'm never gonna achieve my big dream. So yeah,
That's
just
normal.
this thought. Yeah. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. You're going to achieve your big dream because you are tenacious and you don't give up.
Yeah.
Right? I'm saying this because I've known you now. Like I'm seeing you. I see you.
Yeah.
And you know, it actually makes me think of what my first meditation teacher said to me one day. She said, "I wish that you could see yourself the way I see you."
Thank you.
Right? And I was like, "What?" And I was really beating myself up at that point. And my wish for you, Natasha, is you could see yourself the way I see you.
Thank you so much.
You've got this. You've got this. This is your
Yeah.
year. It's all been preparation. And that's the thing, because, this is that thing that we do in our heads, like, oh, but it wasn't then, and it wasn't then, and I tried it then. And it's like, if you're still here and you're like, you still want it, like, everything has been training you. Every single thing up until this moment has been training you, and now, right?
Yeah.
Because the past really doesn't matter. It's like, and now what? This is your year.
Okay, let's go.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Love you. Thank you. Good to see you.
You too.
Good. Okay. Does anybody else have any last questions before we wrap this up? I said, I believe sacred feminine needs to be more appreciated. Yes, it really, really does. And, it's just the balance, for me, it's just that thing of balancing energies. And my journey as a human on this planet, I was so conditioned into masculine ways in my youth, so conditioned into separation, competition, scarcity, logical, rational, practical, reasonable, all that kind of stuff, and there was no balance in it. And I was so out of balance for so long. And, coming home to my true nature, and embracing it and realizing that, emotions, intuition, these things are not weaknesses, not, it's our power, that being together, and that's like what we're doing here, coming into circle and being together, not seeing each other as competition, but actually really realizing together we rise, and that's the feminine, that's so important, and obviously honoring our Mother Earth and protecting her and all of that, and honoring our own process. And I think that's a big part of it, like honoring our own processes and our ways of doing things, the means rather than ends. That's not all about results and outcomes, So all of that stuff, and that's been such a big part of my journey, and that's why I'm really obsessed with a lot of these things. And it's an ever-evolving journey. It's not over. I'm not at the final destination, that's for damn sure. I'm definitely on the path with you guys, on the path. Keep going. All right, my loves. Any last questions or thoughts? Gareth has shared a link for the Passion of the Western Mind. Let me have a look at that. But I do see like a lot of our problems is really, globally connected to this inner issue. And I think, for a lot of us, as I say, for women, I feel like it's reclaiming the feminine in ourselves. And as I said, for me, it was such a big thing because I was so in my masculine for all through my teens and 20s and everything. So in masculine energy, no idea that there was another way. And this is my life, my life's journey, my life work, I feel like, to come into the feminine. Gareth.
Are we going to see any new hats, Diane?
What's that?
Are we going to see any new hats?
Have I got any new hats? Not recently. I need to go buy some. I need to go hat shopping. I've just done my old classics.
Okay,
Old classics. I know. Hat lady. Hat lady. I haven't been mixing it up at all lately. I've got two that are basically identical. And I just sort of switch between them at the moment. That's kind of.
I was wondering if your sort of hat selection sort of reflects your evolution. We're going to see lots of feathers and stuff and different colors and
feather in this one.
Off them and no.
I've gone through a lot and like I used to mix it up a lot more. I'm quite austere these days. There used to be like more of a repertoire. If you look at some of my older videos, you'll see the whole like the wardrobe of hats. Whereas these days I've become a little bit like a Zen monk about my hats. I'm a bit boring. Just stick the same old one on. But I do like my hats. And if anyone wonders about my hats, is like, here's the deal. I don't like doing my hair. Like, I'm just one of these lazy, I told you, like, I'm a slacker, right? Like, so it's like, I was joking to my husband before I went to my call because like, my hair looked a mess. And he said, you look like a crazy woman. And I said, yeah, I'll stick a hat and it'll be fine. No. And I said, basically the hat, you guys know that movie, The Big Lebowski, and it's like the rug, it pulls the room together. I'm like, the hat, it pulls me together. It's like, just pulls it all together, man. So that's my hat thing at the moment. That's always my hat thing. That's my hat life. I know. I know. So if you're the kind of woman who just can't be arsed with doing her hair, right? Like those tools to do your hair, just not something that you're well acquainted with. Is like for years I felt like this was a failing of me as a woman too, by the way, that I like didn't know how to do my hair very well. It's like, but I think it's because I say I've got a slacker nature. I can't be bothered standing around in a bathroom for half an hour, like, trying to make it all. It's not me. But I found a certain thing that in my life I can just stick a hat on and nobody knows. Like, oh, she's quite smart. I'm like, it's the mask, the illusion. It's the rug. It's the Lebowski rug. You can think of that every time you see me now. You'll be like, just like the rug, it pulls it together. Big Lebowski. That's a good script, guys. Just to bring it back to script writing. That is a good script. All right. I'm glad we ended on this, on this note. That's perfect for your quantum year. Go have a quantum year, just get a hat. Oh, look at the sunset beginning. Can you guys see the light just suddenly? So beautiful. So we are ending this on the day after the full moon. It is still full moon energies going on. So if you haven't done it, this is like the magical time to just get your journal out and write down everything that you're just leaving behind, everything that you're releasing. I'm done with it. I'm just freaking done with it. And, and that shedding right at the beginning of 2025 is going to be really powerful. Because for us to call in the magic, we have to release things. We have to let go of things, And it's like, who do I need to let go of? What do I need to let go of? And when I say who, I mean which parts of me, right? Like, who in me do I need to let go of? Although it might be people in your life too. But let go, release, leave it behind, and get intentional today, because this will create the space for creating the magic this year. I am so grateful to all of you for being part of Quantum Year. And I think before we go, what we should do is just really gather our energy and just set the intention that this year, no matter what is going on in the world, no matter what is happening that we cannot control, that we're going to stay steady in ourselves and we're going to show up the best way we can. And we're going to keep believing in ourselves, and we're going to keep believing in each other, and we're going to keep believing in miracles and magic and in making this world heaven on earth, because I believe that is possible. And it's funny, I started Quantum Year by saying that, it's not just about us. It's not just about us achieving our big goals and our dreams. It is about, what would a quantum year look like for our world? And we can get so easily stuck into thoughts of like, it can't change, it won't change, we're just stuck repeating patterns, but that's actually what perpetuates them. That's how we end up keep repeating them. It can change, and it can change fast. And, I still cling to, when I do get little moments of negativity about the state of the world right now, I just always think to the fact I'm from Scotland, and like this summer we were walking along in Edinburgh in the Grass Market. If you've been to Scotland, Edinburgh, you might know the Grass Market. And there's a pub there called the Last Drop. And I pointed out to my sons, I said, "Do you know why it's called the Last Drop?" And they said, "No." And I said, "Because they used to do the public hangings here, right? It was like the last drop." Right. It's like a little, it's a kind of a play on words, because, this pub is like, it's been there forever too, but they used to have the hangings there, the Last Drop. And I said, for real, this is why, because they used to hang people right here. And, they actually now have this whole thing outside the pub about the public hangings that used to happen there. Dude. So my husband and I said, we thought public hangings maybe happened. I mean, what would you imagine? Like maybe once a month, it's like the big event in the 1600s, come and see the public hanging. They had them every single freaking day for over 100 years. Every single day. We went like 35,000 people were hanged in this square right here in Edinburgh, Scotland. So, my thinking about when we're like, the world is going to hell, I'm like, steady on, folks. It's not that long ago. They're like, it was a daily event, not a monthly event, not like a once in a, like, oh, and they're just hanging the person there. I mean, can you imagine how many innocent people were hanged? Can you just even what was going on? It's absolutely mind boggling. So whenever I'm getting negative, I'm like, nah, steady on, right? The world is getting better and we're part of it getting better. Like us, people like us gathering in these circles, dreaming of better lives for ourselves, better lives for our families, better lives for our communities, for the world. Like we're on the right path. And there's always been, obviously, you know, like shit going on. There's always been forces that are not good, but we are on the right path. And we've got to keep believing that and keep plugging into that big vision, because that is what creates the change. And it's getting better. It's got better. Don't try to tell me it's not, it's worse than that, right? It's not worse than that. They always have that about all the women who are killed as witches. I mean, it's not what we're better. We're better. And it will keep getting better. So plug into that, stay plugged into that. And let's imagine, like, let's dare to imagine, you know, not just a quantum leap in your own life, but a quantum leap collectively. You know, I'm willing to give it a shot. I'm willing to give it a shot. All right. Thank you so much for being here. I love you all. Let's collectively just take a moment just to go, let's anchor in this year. Let's make magic. Let's all make magic. Set the intention. I will be sending out emails with, you know, how you can keep these things forever. I'll see you in the Facebook group. I haven't had that much time to be in there over the last few days, but I will this week. So if you've got any other questions or things come up, pop them in there. And, you know, if you want to join me in any of the different things that are happening this year, just send me a message or ask me questions in the Facebook group, and I'll help you figure out where to come, where your home is in my world. Thank you so much again. Take care, and to your quantum year. Thank you. Bye.
Happy day.